Hey everyone, hope your day is going well. We usually don't really like to talk about our failures, but it's fine if it's somebody else's, especially big corporations. So we're going to check out forgotten fast food failures. I'm interested to see if I am going to know any of these. It doesn't always get to Belgium. Maybe they try it first in like McDonald's, for example, in the American market, but there's like different items for different countries. That's the crazy thing about all these fast food restaurants. They have, like localized type dishes too, which is very interesting. Maybe I should check out a video about that. So let's see if I recognize any of these. And sometimes they might even be good, but commercially not viable. And then we want it back, but they won't bring it back. No.
The fast food business is a cutthroat world. The restaurants are always changing, and sometimes it's their uniforms, and other times it's their look inside and outside of their locations. They're also not afraid to experiment with changes on the menu. Nothing really seems to be off limits. We've seen McDonald's dive into the seafood, Mexican, and Italian food markets with very little success.
Really?
Nonetheless, it will never stop them or any other chain from experimenting with something new.
Didn't McDonald's have like a cosmic thing? Is that something new, or is that also a failure? Some kind of cafe, not the Mac Cafe, but like cosmic.
In this video,
something?
we are going to take a look at some of the forgotten failures in the fast food industry. Taco Bell has had a lot of additions to their menu over the years, and they aren't just tacos and burritos anymore. They even tried their hand at Mexican pizza, and eventually it was removed from the menu. Later this month, that pizza will be brought back to the menu for those that loved it.
Really?
One of Taco Bell's more famous slogans has been, "Think outside the bun." That's pretty interesting when you think about their item that had a bun. In the mid-1970s to the mid-1990s, they had the Bell Beefer. It was essentially on a hamburger bun and had meat, diced onions, shredded lettuce, and mild border sauce. They also had a Supreme, which added diced tomatoes and grated cheese.
Just to look at the prices, that's the most painful part about this video.
Some of the coastal locations had the Beefer Surf and the Turf Deluxe, which added fried shrimp and a scoop of tuna on top of the lettuce, as well as taco tartar sauce. It was more of a sloppy Joe than a burger. These items were decently popular at first, but by the late 1980s, the sales declined. In the early 2010s, they reintroduced this item as the Bell Burger, and it was part of the dollar menu in 2012. This sandwich was loved by folks in San Francisco, and they were pretty upset when it was last removed from the menu. After it was canceled, they protested with organized restaurant sit-ins called stank festivals. In 1986, Taco Bell also tried their hand in another oceanic delight with the Taco Bell seafood salad. This tortilla bowl was filled with shrimp, whitefish, crab, and taco toppings. However, it did not remain on the menu long because of multiple cases of food poisoning.
Oh,
certainly sounds a bit...
I was thinking that, but I said, you know what? I'm not even going to say it. First of all, I'm not a big fan of seafood, even though I live 5 minutes away from the North Sea. But still, you always have to be careful. It has to be really, really fresh, right? And I don't know, something with fast food restaurants, ooh, scary.
Bit fishy, and that's enough to make anyone crabby. In 1997, Taco Bell attempted to get fancy with an upscale sister chain called Border Bell in order to compete with Chevy's fresh Mexican restaurants. The location of this restaurant was in Mountain View, California, which is in the heart of the Silicon Valley. Needless to say, customers did not like this part fast food and part Chevy's knockoff restaurant. The exact same year it opened, it converted from Border Bell to Taco Bell. Taco Bell certainly isn't the only fast food restaurant to experiment with a sister restaurant concept. In the late 1960s, Colonel Sanders tried to make the leap from chicken to beef.
Really?
In 1970, there were about 100 Kentucky roast beef restaurants spread throughout the country. Their
That's
first
interesting.
location was opened in Las Vegas in 1968, and it did really well there. Not only were they selling Kentucky roast beef, but they were also selling Kentucky ham. They also
Kentucky
tested
roast beef. KRB doesn't really sound that great, right? KRB. You know.
Kentucky fish, so it was quite a variety there. The recipes still
Kentucky roast
included the
beef.
Colonel's famous herbs and spices. The chain failed just because of price
It's great that they didn't call it Kentucky Great Beef or Kentucky Good Beef, you know, the abbreviation for that.
with their own company. The roast beef sandwiches sold for 79 cents, while KFC had 2 pieces of chicken, potatoes and gravy, and a biscuit for 85 cents.
Wow.
So in 1970, they folded just 2 years after their first location of Kentucky Beef opened. Some of the locations were sold off while others converted into Kentucky Fried Chicken. The locations that converted into KFC carried some of the old signage for years.
Wow.
Not
if you
only
have
that-
those signs or something, if you have the like signs that are very you know, sought after, right? In the collector business and stuff, like American Pickers. I used to watch that show all the time. They were into signs. If you get one of these signs from these chains that are no longer around, love that.
But they continued
Yeah,
to sell the
I need a
roast beef
Kentucky
and
beef
ham
sign.
sandwiches up until the late 1970s. It's strange to think that we could have had KFCs and KRBs all over the place.
KRB. That doesn't roll up.
Kentucky Fried Chicken also experimented with spare ribs in the 1970s when they sold their country-style ribs. Some former employees described the ribs as having a secret recipe of KFC's flour and spices on them and then deep fried under pressure. Then they were removed and saturated with barbecue sauce, and they warmed them up for a little while so the sauce would soak in. There are some big fans of this product that would love to see it come back, including former employees and customers. The exact reason as to why these disappeared is not completely understood. Perhaps it was the prep time, or possibly it was the extra space needed to store the pork products.
Yeah, makes sense.
In 1978, Wendy's went to war with the Colonel. The fast food burger chain tested a new spin-off called Sisters Chicken and Biscuits in Columbus, Ohio. The
We don't
chain
even have
didn't
a
do too
Wendy's.
bad, but it folded in 1987. The restaurants are long gone, but some people still miss the flaky biscuits and perfectly fried chicken.
Fried chicken. is
McDonald's
good,
doesn't have it. Wendy's doesn't have it. I bet nobody else has it. Bob Uecker proclaimed in the Burger King television commercial for the flame-broiled meatloaf sandwich.
though.
This
Meatloaf
long
sandwich.
onion-covered meatloaf patty was unveiled in 1992, but it wasn't
Isn't the McRib basically the same thing, just in the form of a rib?
at the home plate long before it
Maybe a
struck
different
out.
sauce and spices.
Around the same time the meatloaf sub sank, Burger King tried to get a little more fancy with tableside service and Burger King dinner baskets. One of those options was actually the meatloaf sandwich, but they also had the shrimp dinner basket and the steak sandwich dinner basket. Burger King really tried hard to encourage families to eat in and dine in on their upscale orders. While the patrons waited for their dinner, they could munch on some complimentary popcorn.
Huh.
These upscale dinner baskets and tableside waiting probably failed because they didn't have wine in a box.
What? That's the reason? Really? No. We, you know, in McDonald's here, we don't, of course, have no table service, but they do bring the food to the table, which I do appreciate. We didn't have that before. You know, with the machines and stuff now that you have to put your order in, you know, there's a little less human contact, but you know, you get the plastic thing with the number on, you type it into the machine, and you put it next to you on the table, and then they bring you your order. Yeah, that it does make it a little bit more easy and convenient than standing in line and bringing your own order and, you know, risking dropping everything, you know, especially with the drinks. Oh, I'm so bad at that. I'm always, oh, please, there's so many kids running around here. Don't let me drop this order.
Pizza Hut was one of the innovators when it came to fast food pizza. The whole idea started in Wichita, Kansas, and soon Pizza Hut and their pizza recipe would be all over the place. For years, everyone was trying to catch up with the pizza giant. In the mid-1980s,
Yeah.
Pizza Hut tried to change things up with their Chicago-style pizza. This deep dish-style pizza was called the Priazzo. It certainly sounds Italian, but the word was completely made up.
Oh, really?
The name may have actually confused customers, but it was unlike any other pizza at the time.
What the?
It had 2
Casserole
layers of
pizza.
dough, pepperoni, mushrooms, onions, spinach, ham, bacon, tomatoes, and 1 full pound of cheese.
It's almost like a pie.
Pizza Hut
quiche.
described it as sort of a pie, while others described
Yeah.
it as a quiche, lasagna, or some strange
That's
pizza.
not a pizza, man.
They were hoping that this new pizza would boost sales, and it did for a while, but by 1993 it disappeared altogether from their Pizza Hut locations.
And the gimmick wears off. You need something with staying power. You know, with pizza, to me, it's stick to the basics. And sometimes you have these new things, especially with the chains. And then it's like, oh, yeah, it looks cool on Facebook and on social media. Let's try. And then you try and it's like, oh, okay, you know, we had it now and it's out of our system. And we're never going to try that again. You know, you stick to the margarita, whatever, the cheese, pepperoni and stuff.
If we have learned anything from these experiments, it would have to be that these fast food restaurants will never cease in trying new items or
course.
concepts in order to have an edge on the market. All of them have had some success doing that, but they've also had some failures. However, it does seem to be a necessary business strategy for survival. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this little walk down memory lane.
It's fun, man. I like checking out these videos. It's so addictive. And going back to, you know, I learn new stuff. It's fun, and I learned some things about you know, the past and certain, you know, in this case, fast food restaurants like the KRB. Like, I didn't know they actually tried that and stuff. So that's another interesting little fun fact that I picked up. I can throw around in conversation. Hey, you ever heard about KRB? Yeah, I really like this, so I'm definitely going to check out more of these. And if you have any other recommendations, please let me know. If you had any of these foods, you miss them, you want them back or not? The KRBs or you know, the meatloaf sandwich, which I guess you can make it yourself. It would be much better, but that, you know, would make any fast food restaurant obsolete because everything you make yourself is kind of better. You know, it's better for your health. And but sometimes you want that fast food. You know, if you don't overdo it, it's fine. So yeah, looking forward to more of these. Thanks for being here. Peace.